for education, police, fire, and public works. Renee Baskerville, Dr. Renee Baskerville, has had a very long career as a physician and as a teacher in Essex County. She believes and works to build a strong, loving relationship in the community, and she also supports moving the money from the federal budget to the needs of the community that the federal budget deprives us of to have at the local level. So both of these people, as elected officials, are trying to support a local resolution to move the money from defense to community needs. We are so pleased.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. I am really humbled and honored to be here on this occasion. I'm particularly honored to receive this from New Jersey Peace Action because all of my underpinnings and my life's work as both a physician and a town councilor in Montclair are rooted in respect for the sanctity of human life and the building of strong, loving beings committed to peaceful coexistence in sustainable communities. I emphatically believe and teach by my words and deed that diplomacy and dialogue can move divergent factions in a household, in schools, in neighborhoods, and among nations to understanding tolerance and ecumenism. Harry Belafonte is quoted as having said, "Midway through the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. realized that the struggle for integration would ultimately become a struggle for economic rights." "I remember the last time we were together," he said, "at my home shortly before he was murdered. He seemed to be quite agitated and preoccupied, and I asked him what the problem was. I've come upon something that disturbs me deeply," he said. "We fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have, and I know that we will win. But I've come to believe we're integrating into a burning house. Today, 50 years later, we're most definitely living in a burning house. When neighbors kill neighbors over dog poop on their front lawn, and mothers and fathers kill babies when they're tired of hearing them cry out as their natural means of communication, and when deranged people terrorize others in the peaceful enjoyment of the freedom to which they are entitled to in their homeland to make political statements, we are in a burning house. We're living in a burning house, and my walk includes extinguishing the fires and letting every man, woman, and child understand that we're all interdependent and we are our brothers and sisters' keepers. That I will do all that I can and never stop to let everyone know that we ought to be and we all should be working collectively as one. I can never be what I ought to be until everyone realizes and strives to be the best that they can. Let's move the money and let's put this fire out." I thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Part of the reason I'm here today is starting with Trish Comstock and Dorothy Eldridge, who was the founder of New Jersey Sane at the time, Peter Schuchter and Al Swenson, all working out of that great office on Bloomfield Avenue in Montclair until the rent got too high that you had to move to Bloomfield. But all those folks started me out in the 70s as a member of New Jersey Sane at the time. Now, we still have in our title, New Jersey Peace Action for a Sane World, but I remember that the idea was that it's insane to do what we're doing. It's insane to be spending all of our money on the military and on weapons of mass destruction, which we hope will never be used again. But this Move the Money campaign inspired me to talk to my students at Montclair State in urban education about what the problems are for cities. We're studying cities like Detroit and Atlanta and New York and Newark and Jersey City, and even small cities like Asbury Park. My students now understand, after reading material from New Jersey Sane and from New Jersey Peace Action, I'll still say Sane, that we have a problem with where the money is. We're not broke. There is a film called We're Not Broke, which some of you may have seen. We have lots of money in this country. Look at the money that's spent on everything except education and health care and all the problems and needs we have. But we're not broke, but we're having our money taken by people who are greedy. And we have people like Facebook, which of course I'm on, and I shouldn't be on it because I like to protest them, but they pay no taxes. In fact, they take a $500 million credit on their taxes. And then the guy gives money to the city of Newark, which is only to give teachers a hard time. Now, I'm an AFT member, and as an AFT leader, thank you. As an AFT leader, years ago, I joined the ranks of people like my good friend Ted Glick because they arrested 200 of us in the Newark streets for a teacher strike to get our salary up from $6,000 to $9,000. Now, that was a long time ago, but still, we made $6,000 as starting teachers. So I immediately joined the NTU and AFT, and eventually I got into New Jersey Sane. And I realized there's a link. Teachers don't get paid, schools don't get fixed, books don't get ordered because the money is going to the wrong place. So why do we have these problems? As Councilor Baskerville said, we need to move the money. Now, I have a 94-year-old mom. I was there just before I got here, and I have to go back and take care of her. She can't get certain care and coverage because there's certain limits, and the government can't provide for a 94-year-old woman a little help. Okay, why? Because the money's going to the wrong place. So we need to move the money for a person like my 94-year-old mother. And we need to move the money for our schools. The problem in our schools, and the statement Renee knows I made at the council meeting a couple of months ago, which I think was distributed in New Jersey Peace Action's literature, is that there's no money for special ed anywhere near what they promised in 1970s, the IDEA Act, Individuals with Disabilities Education. We all want to help children with special needs. I have an autistic nephew. Well, why do we have a problem? Why are all the property taxes high? Because special ed takes up 1/4 of the budget, and 1/4 of the budget should be funded 40% by the federal government according to the IDEA Act, and they only fund 11%. They don't fund anywhere near the 40% they mandated. So we do the special ed services for children in Montclair and other communities, but we don't get any aid from the national government. Why? Because it's going to the wrong place, so we need to move the money for education. We need to move it for health care, for education. And there's one other thing I wanted to say. The police and firefighters that everybody's complaining are being laid off and there's not enough of them. Well, why don't we have that? Homeland Security begins right in our communities. Why isn't the money there? Because it's being wasted. So we need to move the money for public safety, for public education, for public works, because our infrastructure is falling apart. We need to move the money back home to our communities in the streets where people live. That's what we're going to keep working for. Thank you. That's mine. Is that yours? Thank you.